Here's a highlight from a recent episode of Booked on Rock.
Preston Frazier, the author of Yes Indeed, Tales from Yes Without Jon Anderson. The opening chapter covers the 1980 album Drama. That's the first one. It's their 10th studio album, but the only to feature Trevor Horn on lead vocals, and the first with Jeff Downes on keyboards. A wonderfully written opening. I'm going to quote you here. You write, quote, "In the autumn of 1980, as dusk settled over London's foggy streets, the air carried a secret promise of change, a promise that the familiar might yet be reborn. For yes, a band long defined by its intricate progressions and sprawling epics, that night was the quiet prelude to a transformation both unexpected and inevitable. The stage was set not in a grand arena, but in the collective determination of its members, a determination that, despite internal fractures and the loss of cherished icons like Jon Anderson and Rick Wakeman, the creative spirit of Yes would not only endure, but evolve." Wonderfully written. Wanted to quote you directly on that one. Before we get into the album, what led to the departure of Jon Anderson and keyboardist Rick Wakeman?
Right. I think it was because of I think it was 1979 or 1978, the Paris sessions that they did with Roy Thomas Baker, who died a few months ago. And they were working on an album in Paris. It was Anderson, Wakeman, Howe, Squire, and White. They had completed some rough tracks. And then I believe Alan White, their late drummer, went roller skating, disco skating, and broke his ankle. So they decided to wrap up the album, wrap up the sessions. But it was thought that Anderson and Wakeman really weren't feeling the music. They weren't enjoying the sessions. They were kind of burnt out and they wanted to do their own thing. So they both went on their way to do solo albums. And that led to a situation where Squire said, "Well, I want to continue. How do you want to continue? Why do you want to continue?" And they said, "Yeah." So they found the Buggles and integrated the Buggles, Jeff Downes, and Trevor Horn into the band.
And the Buggles, known for Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yes.
Famously known for that
classic song. And two really good albums by Jeff and Trevor. Yeah.
I've heard about that. I got to listen to them. I've heard that. Let's talk about the sole single from the album, which is Into the Lens. Interesting comment. I'm hoping you can expand on. You write, quote, "It was as if the band, through this song, invited its listeners to look deeply into the reflective surfaces of memory and change, to witness the subtle alchemy of loss transforming into innovation." Now, this is referring to both the complexity and the power of the track.
Right. Into the Lens is a wonderful, well, quite frankly, I love every song on Drama. It's one of my favorite Yes albums, if not my favorite. But Into the Lens is a great song because it combines so many great progressive elements, so many great pop elements, and it has such wonderful guitar nuance playing to the album, to the song. And one thing I like about Drama is that Howe doesn't do what's expected, nor does, for that matter, Chris Squire, nor did he ever do that. It is really subtle, but it's different. It is progressive. I talked to Jon Anderson a few years ago about his album with Ronna Stolt. I think it was called, what was it called? Like The Miracle of Life or something like that. It was a duet album. And I asked him what was progressive music. And I really appreciate the album that he had done with Ronna. And he said, well, progressive music means you're always progressing. You're always moving forward. And I think Into the Lens and Drama shows that, where it's a band that didn't want to recreate Fragile. They want to create Close to the Edge, but wanted to move forward. They really did.
What was the response to the album from the fans and the critics? And how did the perceptions kind of shift in the years following its release?
Yeah, I don't remember where it charted. It charted pretty well, though, in America and in England. But I think that a lot of fans weren't aware initially, back when it was released, that Anderson and Wake were no longer in the band. And a lot of people bought it and initially thought it was just okay, or it was not okay because it wasn't Jon and Rick Wakeman. I think over the years, it has definitely gained a following. And a lot of fans point to this as being one of their favorite Yes albums. And I think when they toured, maybe it was 5 years ago, for the Topographic Drama Tour with one part drama, the first part of the show drama in its entirety, the second part Tales from Topographic Oceans in its entirety. And those songs were really well received by the audience. And also, the Topographic Drama live release is a wonderful live release, probably one of the best live releases for a band that has a lot of live releases. So it has definitely gained favor among Yes fans, especially those who are, who are open to new singers and new ideas, and even those who said there's no Yes without Jon Anderson. Some of them have fallen to the fold.